it's better than a speed bump. The house is only $620,000.
All for nothing. I know the barricades, and I'm the only one. I will be the one to knock it down. So simple-minded, can't drive is my rule. Here's a scene, you're in the backseat late, pulling muscles from a shell, shaking in the seats of cold top inside, and I always thought that it would.
That's neat. This little glass thing right here. Let's call it step 2. These guys probably at least have matricular cards at the very least. Yeah. Well, they work for that company. Yeah. Probably matricular cards. They can still open bank accounts. When you can, you want to leave the flyer in there like that. You can see, but you want to kind of stick it in there a little bit more, but you want to be able to see it so it's a marker.
Looking at you, watch a good time, waiting in the station.
The squirrels here are a little more frail than they are in Fort Worth, but they're also a little more suicidal because they'll run like right in front of your car. But I haven't seen any dead ones yet. But they're lighter weight squirrels, but they're here.
Waste another year.
crazy mother effer, dude. Yeah. Gotta look at my glasses. Because of the humidity. Not about the heat, it's about the humidity. See the tape on them in there? Better construction. Oh, they got the good stuff. I'm gonna switch this over. This. There's Mama Bear. Boy, they're hauling butt down this road too.
Try not to breathe. I can hold my head still with my hands.
1993-ish. A guy named Rusty came from NYU Film School, Tisch, School of the Arts, with some chick that was kind of hot. They went to Dallas and made a film. And they went to a Fish concert and got permission to use Fish. It turned out to be like it's a shirker film. Can't find it anywhere. It's called Only in America. It's on the Internet Movie Database, barely, but it's more like very difficult to find. It was like a student film coming out of NYU. It made the USA Film Festival. It showed there. They used 35mm. I was in it. I played a student in a classroom. They filmed some of it, I think, out in Plano. Very plain kind of shot. It's about, I don't know what it's about. Pro-marijuana, maybe. Kids getting busted in high school over marijuana. It's almost like rock and roll high school marijuana film, but without the music, really. But they use Fish. I don't know if they used that song. They might have used another one. Yeah, they might have used Shakedown, maybe. Soul Shakedown. They went to the concert. They shot some of it at SMU, at a bar in SMU. Some famous bar, and the SMU jocks were in there yelling during the takes. So they were like, "Hey, yeah, making a movie," while they were filming. It was a nightmare movie, but they were able to work around some of that, and it actually printed out and became a 35mm film. It was actually a real 35mm, shown at USA Film Festival, 1993-ish. This kind of music right here. I auditioned with the Ferris Bueller's monologue on the Clammy Hands monologue, and I got a featured extra role in it. So Jennifer Harris. We were at Texas Wesleyan at the time. Also got to talk to him about Taxi Driver and Martin Scorsese, so I stuck out in the audition.
It's all right now.
I used probably this album. It was a 1992 album called Nectar something. They were kind of documentarians that were trying to go narrative. It was a narrative movie. It was about these kids that get busted in high school over drugs, but it was done in a very kind of executive action way. If you've ever seen the documentary Executive Action, they kind of analyze the drug bust in high schools and how it ruins kids' lives. It was more almost borderline documentary, but it was a narrative. The kids are trying to wonder what they're going to do with their lives. They got busted from marijuana and all this stuff. I think the filmmakers were pro-marijuana. They went to a Fish concert. But this is kind of the music that was kind of in it. It's called Only in America. It was the first time that I ever seen a 35mm film in action, you know, on set. They have a song called David Bowie. Yeah, they're really out.
David Bowie. David Bowie. David Bowie. David Bowie.
Martin Scorsese is he's an editor at heart. He edited all of the footage for Woodstock, the original Woodstock. He was behind all the editing on that. So what he did with Who's That Knockin', and I have no problem putting that as my second all-time great film other than Taxi Driver, is he looked at all this stuff that he did with Bring In the Dancing Girls and all this stuff he did with Keitel. He's got Keitel sitting in this room pretty much almost naked with these beautiful naked women kind of coming up, and Jim Morrison singing The End, which will later be used in Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now, but he was using it, you know. Then he was like going, okay, I can present this will hold their attention, and he was trying to make that film famous. He won't admit it, but he was. And he got all this stuff, and like, okay, then I'll have Keitel walking down the street with this chick. We'll shoot it on the weekend. And I got, you know, he's talking about being a banker or whatever. And then we got this other shot. It's kind of mean streets, you know, and got this. He didn't have a story. He didn't have no story. But he could take what he could on the 35mm black and white and paste it all together and make it halfway interesting. Then he puts the Apocalypse Now on there. He gets approval, since he worked in Woodstock, for Jim Morrison's The End. That lays down in it. He's got himself Who's That Knockin', right? At your door. And that took time and effort. Maybe, I don't know, I'd say maybe a year of thinking and planning and saying we could put this with this and this. And he finally got himself a feature. He didn't need, you know, to do Mean Streets yet, or he did not need to do Goodfellas yet, or even Taxi Driver. He had to do something to make it famous so the studios can say, hey, this guy's pretty hip, we can give him a little bit of money. And then it led to Taxi Driver. He had to make it famous, at least in the circuit, and that's what he did with Who's That Knockin'. He found a way to throw it all together, and Who's That Knockin' My Door proudly put it as my second piece, because nobody can do that kind of stuff. It's genius. It's on a Eraserhead level. Eraserhead didn't make my top 11, but Blue Velvet did. Eraserhead probably should make my top 11, but it definitely got honorable mention. It had some kinks. Lynch had to shave about 20 minutes off that thing. But it's a neat little thing. It's a little like Who's That Knocking. I put Who's That Knocking over it. Same Taxi Driver too. Yeah. It's amazing stuff if you know about editing. My point being is this. You can make a film not famous. You can make a film, stick to the script, everything matches, all the shots stick to the storyboard, and it go nowhere at all but undeveloped or develops in a closet and turns yellow into ash and never goes to DVD or digital. And you can use 35 millimeter all day long and just bore the crap out of everybody, you know. Or, you know, you can get a digital camera too and do the same thing. But the thing is if you want to make it famous, and you need to, because for one thing, he probably had to get his Coke fixed. I'm talking about Scorsese. You will do it, and the public will see it if you can figure out if it has to be done. You know, if he has to get it done, then he'll go, okay, let's cut this part, add this part, let's cut this, if it has to be done, you know, like nearly like at gunpoint, it has to be done kind of thing. Then later on, he has no problems when he tackles a script like Paul Schrader's Taxi Driver. Last night I got to see on Samsung TV, First Reformed. It's pretty dang good too. It's not necessarily Taxi Driver, but it's pretty dang good. And that later they can craft that kind of stuff and take their time with it. Everyone will go see it because it's Paul Schrader directing. I think the only other thing I think I've seen him do is Cat People. But, you know, I mean, the thing about Scorsese is that he was able to do that with almost like a student film quality. If you're not able to do that, then there's something wrong, you know? You should be able to be in New York City, NYU Tisch Film School, and make yourself a famous film. You should have no problem with it. As long as you understand what you're doing when it comes to the passion that you have and you want to have people be excited about watching your vision. But you also got to know your roots. You got to know what you're saying. You know, you got to have an idea, and you got to stick to it and believe in it and try to develop it. Because what you're really doing is you're taking nothing and making it something. You're taking a vision that you have and you're trying to turn it into physicality onto celluloid or digital film or video. Right? It does not matter the medium. I don't care if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan. It does not matter the medium. You should be able to wowza dazzle them with a video camera, a Sony video camera, as much as something like this. Right? You should be able to wazzle and dazzle them with whatever you got. You just got to figure out what you're doing. The thing about Rusty, and Only in America, is he had an opportunity, diehard actors that he didn't have to pay that much. I don't know how much he paid them, and he tried to tell this story that really was not, you know, it's just them talking about stuff. And, you know, what he should have done is gone out there and really implied fish. Maybe included the band in the movie. Oh yeah, totally. But maybe they couldn't show up, but he got their music, right? But he could have tried to include them. He might have. And then had some really cool, you know, shots going around the neighborhood, and, you know, not try to make a point. It's not about content, right? And that's what we were trying to make, this point, political point. People were like, who cares? Who cares if marijuana is illegal or legal, or they're going to get busted or not? It's about the moment. That's what P.T. Anderson shows us with Licorice Pizza. It's about the moments of, well, why did he get arrested? Well, he got arrested because they thought he was a murderer, but he wasn't. But he made something out of that little tiny moment because the guy was shackled to the bench. And then they got free, and then they started running. And cool music started playing. Eventually that happens again on the gas shortage, but he brings in David Bowie. Brings in David Bowie's his Life on Mars. And they're all running, you know, and he's got this rock star named Alana. I forgot her last name. Alana, yeah, it's the name of the band, I think. I forgot the name of their band. But anyway, regardless, she's a rock star, and but you don't really know that. You kind of know it. But her sisters are more rock star looking. She's kind of, you know, she looks like what she looks like. You know, it's kind of, she looks like a Jewish chick. And they're running down the road, and they're running side by side, and then, you know, all this crazy cool stuff happens. But yeah, if you talk about it on the plot, you're saying, okay, they're going to roll backwards in this big van. And that's a movie, you know. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of stuff. But it's like real, you know, it's real life, you know. Then you got Bradley Cooper going crazy, saying he's going to kill him. So you've got a lot of heightened entertainment. That's what you have to find. And then, like, you could throw the script away for a minute. So let's find something here. All they were doing was talking about how they got busted by the cops. Now they're walking around. It's still kind of cool. It's still kind of cool. It belonged to USA Film Festival. But, like, nothing happened in it, you know? They didn't really want to take that big a risk. It was student films. I don't know where they are today, if they're even alive. But, you know, it was like it didn't go anywhere. We had a feeling it would. And I was like, dang, I'm going to be famous. You know? But it's a shirker. That's what I call it, a shirker film. Always leave it in there with the number in there, so if a pig grabbed it, then he can get sued for grabbing their property. Look at Harmony Korine with Gummo. You know, he just needed like some freaks that survived sniffing glue on Sally, Jesse, Raphael. Got like a dead cat, show it to the camera. I got this lady talking a sign language in a bowling alley. You know, you got this chick going up in like a grocery store parking lot going, hey, have you seen our cat? And they've got like these little pamphlets they're handing out. It's like, what the heck? This is just great. This guy's like lifting weights, but it's like really what it is it's not weights. It's actually just a bunch of forks tied up with like duct tape and stuff or whatever. And he's got spaghetti, eating it in a bathtub. He's got a piece of bacon on the wall or something. You know, like crap smeared and stuff. And then Harmony Korine shows up in a bikini. You know, he's in a bikini on set while everybody else is wearing hazmat suits because everybody smells awful. You know what I mean? That's a freaking average movie. You know, people are yawning a little bit. But yeah, it kind of worked. And then he's got this guys on bicycles and they're not saying anything. They're just going down this way. And then another dead cat. And then, you know what I mean? Why not? Yeah, the structured script trying to say this and this. And fuck all that shit. Throw all that away. Just start fucking getting weird, man. Show like a frog getting cut open and fucking like a shot of De Niro, you know, like foaming at the mouth or something, you know, and then switch to something else. Fucking who cares, you know? Just get some guy like talking weird, crazy shit and selling alarm equipment, you know? That might work. Fuck it. Then guy somewhere in there got a guy smoking a cigar, you know? Who knows? Maybe they'll listen to Fish, maybe not. Maybe Bernard Herrmann, who fucking knows? I would have used Taxi Driver movie and Only in America. I mean, Taxi Driver music. I knew I was going to come across one of those. It's a camera and a smart lock at the same time.
I was home all alone, but the TV was on.
I'm cleaning the floor. I'm cleaning the floor. Thank you for stopping the
Their buffalo
Couldn't wait to see who it was. Broken.
the buffalo chicken is like disgusting. It's like cold, and they have it on the roller before, before the still cooking. So you're like, what the hell? Then there are other taquitos like falling apart. But I did get a hold of a halfway decent hot dog, and then I just went with another dog. $5.94, so it went up 94 cents, and you don't get the chips, but the chips are just a bunch of oil anyway. This one's got banana peppers, white onions, relish, and Grey Poupon. The napkins, they don't really serve out at the I think at 7-Eleven, sometimes you get napkins at the counter. You have to remember to get the napkins. Not bad. Pretty good song. Will Smith, back in the day. Got Freddy Krueger. Right now.
He jumped on my bed, but through the covers with his claws, tried to get me. But my alarm went off and then silence. It was a whole new day. I thought I wasn't scared of him anyway. Until I noticed those rips in my sheets, and that was proof that there had been a nightmare on my street.
Was supposed to be playing out of this place. So
for some reason they don't do rewards. I have the app. How to re-register the app. They're like, no, we don't do rewards because you get free stuff with rewards. They don't do it. Oh, let's go for the super burrito. Tastes a little like super burrito. Fort Worth ones are better. It's not too bad. They got a Ferris wheel over there in Nebraska Furniture Mart's right there. We're borderline Carrollton, but we're not too far from Frisco. Colony is what they call it. Oh She escaped. That was Jennifer Aniston up there. So the Linda and Cole band was formed literally right off of that road right there. On the other side of Windhaven, so down that way. Apartment complex will end if you go down Carrollton, down there, all the way down there. You go to the mansions at Sunset Ridge Apartment Complex. That's where we started. As a song Moving Day that has 67 views. That was about how we moved out in October 2nd or 3rd or 4th, something like that, 2021. So we've been in Fort Worth 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. We've been in Fort Worth for 5 years. That was my jogging path right through that way, right there. Even went down that way too. To it's a little garden over here. Some of The Projectionist was filmed down there. It was, digitally filmed with digital, but we call it filmed, but we mean digital video. It was down that way. Yeah, in some of this neighborhood, The Projectionist was filmed. It was an attempt at a feature. It's only in dailies. The script is still written. It's still there. Daniel Lunt, his brother Ryan Lunt, who's a stand-up comedian at the time, he worked at the Improv. Daniel worked at a community theater in Addison, I believe, or in that area. And then there was a few other actors. There was a B-film actress named, last name Jones. Natalie Jones. She was possibly going to be cast as Allie Starlings, but she didn't want to use a Samsung 8. So she left. When she found out we were using phones, she took off. We were going to pay her. We were going to try to pay her $100 a day. But she played, she's been in some Netflix horror films. She also worked with Ethan Hawke on Sinister as an assistant. Yeah. All through here was my jogging path. Back in 2020 and 2021. Going from 2019 to 2020 to 2021. This was part of my jogging path. The weak-ass squirrels of Carrollton. It's really Louisville, technically, but we're on the edge of Carrollton. Yeah, the squirrels have a problem because of all the DEET that if you watch Tree of Life by Terrence Malick, they spray DEET all through Dallas, especially Dallas, to kill the horrible mosquitoes that they had. It killed a lot of these squirrels and stuff. Just, destroyed their DNA and everything. They're squirrely little frail squirrels surviving that Tree of Life, but they're still around. They're just squirrely. In Fort Worth, they're plump. The squirrels are big. They can jump and all kinds of stuff. Here, they're just barely getting by, but they're doing okay. They're getting better. They're still squirrely. Right over here, not too far from these rabbits, is where Daniel... It was actually on the other side, but a similar area. Daniel did a thing where he walked through. That was on the other side. That was Dan. Yeah, you could see it on the PRJ, The Projectionist, PRJCT. That's the daily call on it. You can see him walking through. He jumps at one of the dogs. The dog barks and he jumps. It's kind of like he reminded me of the guys that worked on the Three Stooges. He was kind of like one of those guys. Larry, Moe, Curly kind of people. He was kind of, bigger than life. But he did good, though. He took it pretty serious. He was a community theater actor. Yeah, that cop right there moved. He was down the road. No, which one? No, that's not a cop. But it might be a cop. I don't know what that is. It may have been cop. There was a cop that lived over here for Fort Worth, a Fort Worth cop, somewhere around here. He was somewhere over that way or something. He'd always park his car. I'm trying to think if this fence is one of them. Yeah, that fence looks familiar. He would have been right there. Yeah, and the pool's down that way. Yeah. It looked like he changed his, he moved and changed he's probably security. I guarantee that's probably true. He's changed his level of occupation. He probably went from cop to security. Because that cop car he probably kept. Now it's purple and pink. Yep. This is not too far from where Daniel did some extra. Well, it wasn't extra. He was the lead. He was the lead in The Projectionist, but he did some walking around like extra footage, not extras, and like extra footage, like B-roll footage of Adair Martin walking around. It was here and there down that one. It was down that one. This is going on York right here. This is my jogging path too. So I took him down some of the jogging path, but we didn't jog. We walked and filmed some stuff, digital film for the projectionist. His was over there, the cop thing. I gotta find out where this is like a maze. They got a dragon out here, all kinds of weird stuff, and like they also have their own vegetable garden. Some footage over here, and a lady came out and asked us what we were doing. I said we were working for a magazine. We were taking photos, and I think it was right over here. He walked down this way, and he turns here, and then he jumps at a dog barking in one of these backyards. He jumps like that. He just hops kind of almost in the air. Then we finished up some shooting up down this way. We filmed a lot of areas. It was going to take us all the way to Vegas, to Mulholland Drive in California, to Hollywood, then back to Dallas, downtown Dallas. We were going to do it all with our own funding, but we realized no, we're not, because we couldn't even get a cop uniform. There's a weird cop in it. We had to change it to a mime, because mimes don't really require much of a uniform. So he gets pulled over by a mime heading to California rather than a state trooper. Yeah, he gets pulled over by a state trooper that quits. I think it's maybe right here. Yeah, it was right over here. Then he goes and boom, yeah, that section, and then he hops, I think, right over that way. Right off Sword Bridge. He turns to the right over here. Goes down this way. We got some footage, we got some exterior footage. Then we did some stuff in my garage at the mansion, the Sunset Ridge. I had a garage. Probably this Oxford area. I did something there. It crosses there through there. And pretty sure there's another scene down this way that we did too. This was also a jogging area for me too, coming through here. There's a garden back there. If you go back here to the left, it's a garden. And then Daniel went down this way and definitely did a scene from the projectionist right here. There's a squirrel right there. He came out through right there. That's the shot. Yep, right there. In the projectionist for the daily. That's the one that made it up. We may have done some more and didn't necessarily get all that. But that one made it to dailies, and it was a possibility and choice. It's almost like collecting photography, but then you have scenes and action and things. You're like, this looks good, and this will work. This feels right, that kind of thing. And we did that. And then we went way over where the DMV is. I'm not going to be able to show it, but way across over here, we filmed him walking across this bridge. I'll show the bridge because I got to get back on the highway. So all of that filming took place 5 years ago with Daniel Lunt and Ryan Lunt and stuff. The mansions I'll show to you. I'm just going to go through that way and hit back. I may have to come back here maybe tomorrow. But yeah, jogging path took me through here where it says road close. That was my first little outlet. Then I went back through there to the other outlet, and then through the garden, and then around through where Broken Sword, not Broken Sword, but where we were earlier. There it is. This is some of it. Oh, wow, it expanded. So there's a church right here. It's called the Field Baptist Church. Linda and I went there. You can see where it says it, First Baptist Church of Fields. Daniel and I did the scene for the projectionist right through here. So Daniel would start this way. He'd walk all the way through here. Linda hit her wind, her tire right there. Can't really see it, but like right there. Adam the Woo was still alive then. We had just been introduced to Adam the Woo on YouTube. She was turning this way. She hit her tire and she couldn't move the car. She called me. I had to walk up to get her off this bridge. Or no, I think she dragged the car. She drove the car and dragged the front bumper, almost was off. what she did was she made a left-hand turn. I wasn't with her. I was at my place at the time, and she hit the curb right there and just sent the wheel into the wheel housing. So the wheel went up into the car, and then she drove it further down this way. These were not here. Diamond Flats was not here. The church was. The church at the Fields was here. So when we finally stopped, the cop came up, the female cop, and he told me if she gets out of the car again, because I was behind the wheel at that time, because I came from my place. We lived right there where that bush was, right there. Or was it the one next to it? Yeah, it was where the bush. No. Man, it's where the bush was. See where that bush is? We had birds that would come and visit us and stuff. Yeah, the female cop said if she gets out of the car one more time, she's going to jail. You have to keep her in the car. Now I was behind the wheel. So I said, okay, well, we're calling a tow truck. Cop ended up leaving, and we dragged the car all the way through here into the apartment. We lived here. This is where we started the band, the Linda and Cole band, and filmed some of the projectionists. When I was here, you could get in with an app. Towards the end, when I lived here, almost the whole last year, you could only get in with an app. So you had a special app. It would work anywhere in the world, as long as you had the internet, and it would open the gates. We had a Hispanic guy come through with a car at full speed, ramming that fence, trying to ram down the fence. I mean, he missed it by a mile. Yeah, we got in. We'll go to it. This is the mansions at Sunset Ridge. So there's a lot of footage. We did a ghost story vlog for a while Adam the Woo was still alive. Here we did a thing about a ghost story. Now there was a lady that did die. She fell off the 3rd floor right down this way a long time ago before we even moved here. Years before we arrived. She fell from the 3rd floor. There's a 3-floor ones over there by the pool, and landed and died. Yeah, she died. No, it was over this way, actually. We did some research on it, a ghost story show. I wrote a screenplay called The Filmmakers. If you watch it, we do some readings from it, very sloppy readings of it, just kind of joking around, but we read from it. And I did cast Daniel as Val Deadman. It's a 13-page script, so it was never finished. But the Grace, a.k.a. Werevlog, which is a 212-page script, it was began here. Back in the day, it began here in 2000, probably 2021 or so. The Grace, a.k.a. Werevlog, which is a completed script. I'm trying to get Gary Oldman involved in it, but I'm rewriting it right now. I'm making a simple version of it. I'll show you where the lady died. We did a ghost story thing. We were like Ghostbusters, almost, kind of like. We felt it was haunted in certain areas, so we followed her patterns. We did research online to find out that she was a real person. She was from Denton, Texas. She also had business, I believe, in Dallas. Maybe Richardson, something like that. She worked in the computer business kind of thing. There's 2 pools. We just passed one of them. She fell from the 3rd floor on the 2nd pool, which is over here. Oh yeah, I passed it. There's where I got my mail. This is way before we moved here. I moved here in 2020, in October 2020, I believe. Or was it 2019? No, it was 2019. It was October of 2019. This is the first pool. She fell from here. It was a long time ago. We don't know her name. I don't remember her name. It's in the vlog. If you look at the vlog, her name is... So this is where the rumor started. There is a guest services. There's also an office. The office would email me and say that they would heard someone screaming in my apartment all throughout the day. Non-stop screaming. And it was several noise complaints. I never heard screaming. And there were several noise complaints. Several. This place is haunted. There were several noise complaints. And a lady was screaming. and eventually led to me having to move out. And I never heard a scream ever come from it. I'll show you the apartment that we live that's haunted. This is what they said in the noise complaints. I could find the noise complaints. I didn't erase them, I don't think. I might have got so nervous I erased them, but I may not have. Now, this was not here. This was all field when we lived there. This was all field. It was all just large field stuff, you know. It wasn't corn or anything like that, but it was just daisies, all, you know, and stickers, and none of that was there. Those apartments were not there. That was a field that I used for the filmmakers. That we did do one scene on it, and we got thousands of views in one scene. It is on YouTube as the filmmakers beach ball hurricane scene. That was an improv scene based on the script. Lived right here, 14202. That's where we lived. The neighbors that got Linda and I kicked out were right here. They're from Canada. Linda tried to bless their plants, so she went over there and water. So when the police came, they went around this way. I don't know if they parked over here, but it was a female cop from Carrollton. She went around back this way. My mom was with me, and the other cop went around the other side. And you could hear the female officer. Let me actually get out for a second. You could hear the female officer say, "Oh, there's the noise. We were just playing the guitar, playing the acoustic guitar." The female officer from Carrollton went over this way. They're ADT over there. And the female officer walked over this way because I heard her. Sorry, I'm getting cut off. She said, right here, the female officer said, "Oh, the noise is coming from up here." You could hear her. And then I think that was maybe our final warning. We lived right there. And the Canadians lived right here. The ones that told on Linda. They used to talk from there to there all the time. So when I first found out about out of the way, I'm seeing if that bird thing is there. The birds were right there. They've been removed. That's where the birds live. We lived there. We got 3 to 4 noise complaints, I think. I think it was 3. But the screaming was never, that was never something I was aware of. So we started doing a ghost story about these on the 3rd floor. This is 2nd floor only. I had a different style Kia too. I'd start my jogging path this way. And it's very addictive. They basically right there, they started that right there. That's a new apartment complex. That was all a field. The reason I went back there is because Daniel did a scene where he was running through that field back there. He was appearing as Val Deadman. There's a written script called The Filmmakers. It's 13 pages long. But he appeared at the field and then rose up. Eraserhead, 21 pages long. Yeah, Eraserhead was 21 pages in length. And it's a 2-hour movie, or it's a full feature at 21 pages. We only did segments of The Filmmakers, but one of the improv scenes that we did got thousands of views. We were right here. I got cut off twice on this one. It's where we lived, right there. My mom came and visited us and everything. 14202. And this is where they were hearing the screaming. Most likely, it was probably the ghost. And then we did the ghost story all... Linda used to park right there. We did the ghost story all along here in this area. And then every day when I'd watch Out of the Woo or Jordan the Lion, I'd come through here when I was getting started. And I got in touch with Jacob the carpetbagger while I lived here and everything. He did haunts, a thing called haunts. We went to this church too, Linda and I, right through here. It sounds like Lynn, but it's Linda and I. Whenever I listen to the vlog, I'm always like, what are you saying, Lynn? Linda. She does play Lynn Driver in a movie called Lynn Driver that I've done. I got cut off twice while I was doing that. That place is haunted, or we think it is. We did a ghost story of it.